If you feel like you have no discipline, you're not alone. Most people feel that way. A lot of people think that they just don't have the willpower to be consistent, but most of the time that's not actually the problem. So I want to dive into what the actual problems are with that type of mindset or that type of being. But first, if you found my channel and you find any of my content that resonates with you or entertaining, please consider commenting, and subscribing so we can grow this into something and inspire yourself or other people. Now that that's out of the way, let's dive in. First things first, if you don't have a sense of discipline, as I've mentioned in previous videos, you lack some type of clarity. It's really difficult to stay consistent with something when you're not fully clear on why you're doing it. So if you have vague goals, no direction, no sense of, we'll say, purpose in life, it's going to be very difficult to stick to what you set out to do. Mind you, if you have a very specific goal, and I used this before, of providing for your family or your children or whatever, you need to just start taking actions because you know what your end goal is, but you don't know what your actual vehicle is to get you there. So if you start taking action, sooner rather than later, you're going to find what sticks and what doesn't stick. But if you don't actually start, you're never actually going to get there and you're never going to stick with what you promised you would get to. Next, you're relying on motivation instead of systems that actually work. Motivation is a bunch of bullshit. When I started getting into shape, I used to be very overweight. There was motivation, but after a couple months, it vanished like it was never even there in the first place. What actually got me from being overweight and unhealthy and into shape was the discipline. I knew that I didn't want to be the person that I was, and I couldn't go back to being the person that I was, even though it was only 3 months into the journey. So eventually I needed some type of discipline, and I found that discipline through systems. That was meal prep, that was going to the gym at the same time every day, right after work or before work, depending on what my schedule looked like for that week. I know I just said going to the gym at the same time every day, but if I know what my schedule is going to look like, I'm able to tell myself, okay, throughout this week, I'm going to go to the gym in the morning, or I'm going to go to the gym after work, and you can be prepared for whatever you need to do by packing your things the night before. So again, motivation comes and goes. So if you rely on it, your consistency will too. And when your motivation is gone, there goes your consistency. When you're waiting to feel like doing something, it's just never going to actually work because, like I said, that motivation and that feeling will just vanish. So if you incorporate systems to get where you want to get, you're going to basically override those feelings and you're just going to keep chugging along, especially on the days that you don't feel like it, and those are the most important days. Your environment. It's one of the biggest things that plays a factor into whether you're going to stick to your goals or you're going to fall off track. Again, discipline versus no discipline. Your environment probably right now is working against you. Most people rely on discipline while their environment's actually set up to take them away from it. You have your phone nearby while you're hunkering down to do work, so every time it vibrates, you check it. Put it in the other room. Put it on Do Not Disturb. Get it away from you. It is a distraction. If you have a Mac, you can have your text messages linked to your computer. Shut it off while you're doing work. Don't even have the temptation. Make it a habit when you go to sit down to just leave all of those distractions in a different room and actually set out to do what you promised yourself you were going to do that day. If you don't have any type of structure and you're surrounded by clutter, whether that's physical or mental, like the phone dinging and the phone vibrating, you're never actually going to stick to what you set out to do. So make sure you clean up your environment mentally and physically. A clean workspace is a productive workspace. Next, you make it too hard to start in the first place. If it feels too difficult to start, you're going to avoid it. We've mentioned this many times before. Your brain is hardwired for the path of least resistance. It doesn't like difficult things. So, start small. Don't overcomplicate your plans. Don't have unrealistic expectations. And don't even start overthinking. The counter to all of this is to just start. Again, if you know that your end goal is to take care of your family, start doing little things to find what resonates with you and what you could stick with to maybe start increasing your income or whatever you view as taking care of your family. Or if it's to lose 10 pounds in 3 months, don't stress yourself out about going to the gym 6 times a week and having the perfect workout plan and this, that, and whatever. Start simple. Cut a couple bad things out of your diet. If you like French fries, I did when I was super overweight, I lost 20 pounds simply from just stopping the consumption of French fries and soda every time that I went out to eat, which was often because, my parents would just take me out. I still lived at home. I was 18 when I started. Or I would go out with friends and I would just consume that stuff. I stopped, and clear as day, the weight started coming off. Start going for walks. It's very simple. Don't overcomplicate these things. Just start taking little bits of action, and eventually it'll snowball into something bigger. You don't need perfection. You just need consistency. People don't fail because they do too little. They fail because they try to do too much, too perfectly, too soon. It's an all or nothing mindset. You miss one day, you're going to end up quitting. So just start small and let it snowball into things. That is the way that you will build consistency. It is the way that you will build confidence to stick with what you're doing, because each time you get that small little win, you're just proving to yourself, okay, I got this. And then that win's going to get slightly bigger, and you're going to say to yourself, okay, I really got this. And then it's going to get even bigger. And then you're like, oh yeah, I got this. We're going to absolutely crush it. Lastly, your mindset. You simply just don't think that you're disciplined. If you truly don't believe that you're disciplined, or you have the capability to stick to something or be disciplined, your actions are going to reflect that, and you're not actually going to do anything. You're just painting a narrative for yourself to believe that's going to keep you stuck. So don't even fall into that trap. Discipline isn't something you either have or you don't have. It's something that you build with small little actions repeated over time that come with wins. You're going to have losses here and there, but most of the time, if you're taking little actions, you're going to have some wins. And even a loss is a win. You find out faster whatever you lost at just isn't for you, and you're going to pivot to something that is. Once you understand this mindset, it becomes a lot easier for you to stay consistent and become that disciplined person. If you've made it this far, again, please like, comment, and subscribe. It is free. This is a new channel, and we are trying to grow it into something meaningful and significant to hopefully inspire others to change the course of their life if they're afraid, scared, or anything like that, like I was and still kind of am at certain points in my life. But yeah, if you've made it this far, thank you again.